Hey everybody, how you doing? And a special hello to folks on the CGC boards. By semi-popular request, I'm going to cover some of the main keys in the Blue Beetle line, a hero that has been around for as long as some of the most well-known superheroes of all time. We're talking someone that holds their own with the likes of Superman, Batman, The Flash, Wonder Woman, and it's a hero that you may not know that has been around for really almost as long, and that is the Blue Beetle himself, who debuted many years ago in Mystery Men Comics #1 from Fox Syndicate Books. I'm going to walk through what I think are some of the main keys in the whole line, whether it was the original Fox books, the Charlton books, the contemporary DC books as well, and point to some of the titles in this very long, illustrious line, if you will, that are worth investing in or worth collecting in. Usually I have the books in hand. I actually do have all the books I'm going to cite in this particular video. However, I thought I would just show you the images in the interest of time. So we'll start off with this book right here. As you can see, that is none other than Mystery Men Comics #1. Of course, the Blue Beetle is not on the cover. The first cover appearance is issue 7, which we'll look at that book as well. This Mystery Men Comics 1 is a really difficult, scarce to obtain book. It is the origin first appearance of the original Blue Beetle. It's an important book because of the wonderful cover, because of the scarcity of the book, and of course, its significance. So this is sort of the granddaddy book of them all. I've got a few copies in mid to lower grade that I'm proud to hold on to. And if you do see a copy of this, without restoration, it's going to be scarce, it's going to be expensive, and it's seldom offered at auction. So love to see this book, and those that own it have a lot of pride in it. Second off would be this book. That is the Blue Beetle issue #1 with that really great Lou Fine cover, published slightly after the MM1 was published. It actually is a reprint of the interior pages, but the cover is entirely new. This is a very low supply, scarce book. I think the census is under 50 copies. This book is less plentiful than a Green Lantern 1. It's less plentiful than Superman 1. It's just not as highly coveted. If you can get an unrestored copy in any condition, I would pick it up because they're still relatively inexpensive when you're around 1.5 to 2.5 to 3.0 type condition. The fact that you can get a book from the late 1930s with this great Lou Fine cover depicting the Blue Beetle, who now will be in his own movie, potentially could become a franchise. We don't know how the film's going to perform. We don't know if it's any good. But one would have the best of hopes that it would be. And here's a book that I think is really great to obtain. Low census. I do have quite a few copies myself. I took a, if I see it, buy it approach for the last 10 years. Now, I haven't got every single copy. Of course, not every single copy has been offered. I would say I probably have a third of the census off-site. So I'm proud to have those books, and occasionally I may release one into the wild. I've got a couple of these Blue Beetle keys coming up in the Heritage signature auction, which is, I believe, in June. So those listings are already online. The auction's not open yet. So next up would be this book. I already mentioned it. That is the Mystery Men Comics 7, first cover appearance of the Blue Beetle. There he is, as he was depicted in that era with the domino mask and the suit. It's a really cool book, super low census. I do have the best copy of this book, highest grade, best copy. It is the Edgar Church Mile High copy, which is white pages, but due to some issues with the back, I believe it's in 7.0 condition. It's the only church book I have, and I got off Heritage many years back. And I've often said this, if I get rid of almost all of my comics and are down to like less than 10, that would be one book I would just not sell. It's too cool. It's too awesome. This book periodically will come available at auction, sometimes on eBay, rarely. You'll usually see it with a lot of resto. You'll usually see it low grade. And just the fact that is the first cover appearance, it has a lot of significance to Blue Beetle collectors. And also people that collect the highly coveted Mystery Men Comics line, which is populated by scores of classic covers, and they're hard to obtain and scarce. Moving on, we've got, let's see here. I'm going to give you some examples of material in the Blue Beetle line itself, not Mystery Men Comics. Case in point, this book right here. I actually don't have a copy of this book. I think there are a select number of covers in the Blue Beetle Fox line that are worth collecting, that are interesting, and some covers that are not that great and simply not that desirable to collectors. But that said, because the Blue Beetle line is relatively inexpensive, we're talking some of these books are in the several hundreds of dollars, you can obtain them fairly easily eBay sometimes, or you could look at Comic Links boards. Quite often they have them there, and they're not that expensive. This is a copy that I just showed you here that would be highly desirable and rare. Look at the dramatic cover. You see more depictions of that with the woman in the bondage, with the Mystery Men Comics line a little later in the line. They're really cool. Here's another book right here. This book simply is hard to come by. So if you are a Beetle collector, this book is one you want to be on the lookout for. It's not particularly a key per se, but when you're filling out a line in anything, you're going to find certain titles that have books in the run that, for whatever the reason may be, are hard to come by, scarce, rare, have a cool cover, so they're highly coveted. It takes a while to acquire them. That's an example, that book right there. What else we got? Okay, we're going to skip forward a bit in the years here and forward to 1964. Take a look at this. All right, that is the first Silver Age appearance of the Blue Beetle. 1964, pretty cool cover. This book has started to trend up for the first time in many, many years over the last year or so, probably because of the news of the movie. This book, I would give it a comparable book, right? Let's think about Avengers 4 for a little bit, which is first Silver Age appearance of Cap. So that book, that first Silver Age appearance of Captain America, is worth quite a bit more. If you look at the census between these two books, there are way more copies of Avenger 4, and it's significantly more expensive than this book. You can still get good mid-grade copies of this in the several hundreds of dollars. And I've mentioned this book probably for 10 years, saying it was a good investment, and it remains to be so. Buy a copy before I literally go on eBay and buy everything that's left of that book. And the only reason I haven't done that is that, one, I forgot, and secondly, I haven't the time to really grind through that. But it's not a bad idea. So I want to give you a heads up. If you want to get a copy, go after it. Either myself or someone else is going to snatch those up. You can get them raw. Go ahead and get them graded or not. There is some higher grade copies available, like 8.0s and 8.5s, etc. on eBay. look at the price, look at GPA analysis, make sure you're paying something fair. I think this book is one of the most overlooked keys in the Blue Beetle pantheon. Definitely worth your time. Cool Silver Age book. Underrated. The page quality on these books was crap. There's only one 9.8 in the census. There's two 9.6s. I have them both, okay? And one of those I'm releasing into the Heritage SIG in June, one of the 9.6s, which I bought off Heritage itself maybe about 7 or 8 years ago, and I got the second 9.6 off a seller off eBay. Just held on to them. I think it's time to put one back into the wild. What else have we got? Okay, here's another one. This book is pretty cool. Let me show it for you. There it is, right there. It's a Captain Atom 83, which is the first appearance of Ted Kord. It's a Ditko book. It's really cool, early mid-1960s. This book still is relatively inexpensive. Again, we're going to see Jamie Reyes, not Ted Kord, in the upcoming movie. However, it's possible we may see Ted Kord because he's a little bit of a precursor. He did, I believe, this character appear briefly in one of the CW series. Maybe it was the Arrow or Smallville. I'm not sure which one it was, but they did put Ted Kord and Kord Industries, which is kind of like, I guess, the poor man's Stark Industries, up on the TV screen briefly. So it might be alluded to. This book's hard to get in higher grade, and it's still, I think, relatively affordable. And it's a cool way to get a first appearance on a Ditko book of, you know, a key character. So this is definitely one of the books sometimes overlooked by Beetle collectors, but I think it's worth your time. You know, take a look at it. Moving forward here, just looking at my list. Okay, what do we got? All right, let's look at this. There you go. Crisis on Infinite Earths, number 5. This is a modern book. I would only get this book in, and there's a couple variants. This cover is the best one. It's the first appearance of Jamie Reyes. I would only get this in a 9.8. Check the GPA. These are going to sell or be listed on eBay quite often, several hundreds of dollars over what the book actually is worth, in my opinion, and based on what the data says, because modern books are highly speculative. If you could find the book in an open auction and bid on it that way on eBay, that's the best way to do it. We're talking about a book that's worth probably $200 to $300, can go as high as $400, $450. I've never seen a 9.9. If there was a 9.9, I'd be so stoked to see that. That's something I would really want. Any of these modern books you get in a 9.9 or a 10, good luck. I think are worth holding on to for sure, going after. I would avoid buying this book raw because you're more than likely to spend the money and then get a 9.6 or a 9.4. There's just no way you can tell looking at images of a newer book like this, you know, if it's got some issues that are going to pull the grade down. There's a lot of really small details when we're talking about a 9.6 to a 9.8. And it's not going to come out as a 9.9. I just don't think so. Don't waste your time there. Comic Cowboy here. Give me a like. Give me a subscribe if you're not already a subscriber. Thanks a lot. Have a good one.